A very good morning to you all. Fabricating Futurity Phase 2, the inspiring workshop series organized by the Career Skills Development Society of the University of Srijawardhanapura, is continuing to come to you with another workshop to expand the professional guidance for our members and improve their soft skills, which will help them to equip their key competencies that they will be using in their journey as a professional. Also, we are happy to announce that this session will be the start of a series of workshops addressing the industries and career opportunities revolving around those industries that undergraduates are looking forward to taking part in. Before we move on with the session, I would like to warmly welcome the Career Advisor of the Career Guidance Unit and the Senior Treasurer of the Career Skills Development Society, Mrs. Chaturangani Tennakon. Dear Madam, please accept my heartfelt welcome. And also, warmest welcome to the audience, our members who joined us today, as you are indeed the heart and soul of this workshop series. Now, working in the banking sector offers a huge variety of opportunities as well as the possibility of early responsibility, rapid career progression, and benefits. It's also a challenging profession that looks to its talented new workforce to help boost the economy and restore public faith in the industry. So, welcome to the banking industry. This is our topic for today's session. Moving on with today's workshop, please let me introduce our resource person. This amazing personality is the manager of talent acquisition at Sampath Bank. Also, he is a talent acquisition specialist and experienced strategic and operational HR manager. Please welcome Mr. Thenuka Tushyalak. Sir, wishing you a very good morning. We are extremely glad to have you here.
Good morning to you too, Sasini, and all of you.
So, without further ado, sir, I would like to invite you to begin this session to enlighten these young undergraduates with our immensely valuable insights.
Thank you very much, Sasini, and good morning, everyone. So let me first, share my PowerPoint as well. I hope you can see the PowerPoint also.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much, the University of Srijawardhanapura, firstly and first mostly having me today as a facilitator. It is a great honor, to be here with the undergraduates and with the university. This is not the first time though, but it's a continuous journey that the bank, Sampath Bank, myself, and the university is on. And thank you for having me. Also, I want to thank the organizing committee having us such a wonderful event, and which is a timely requirement of the country, I would say, because the universities produce the undergraduates who are going to hold the responsibility of this country in the future, perhaps in the world as well. So having this sort of program would contribute immensely for their future and to have a wonderful foundation at the younger stage. So thank you, the organizing committee, for having this program series. I would believe that there would be more, important sessions would come, and all the best with that as well. So going to the topic, the banking industry is a demanding career industry, I would say, because since a long time ago, even I joined the bank in 2003 when I was just 19. Since that time, even before perhaps, even though I do not have the first-hand experience of the industry as an employer, the demand is increasing, though the predictions are to decrease Usually, the banking, the front line being. Uh, are you disturbed with the background noises? Being a Sunday, it's very difficult. I had to go through a lot of other difficulties as well. That is why I logged in a different name and different computer. Is that noise disturbing? Because that did not
Um,
stop
no,
before.
sir. It's
Can
fine,
manage.
sir.
Right, okay.
Yes, sir.
So that the neighbor's car didn't stop before. All right, stop now. So anyway, but I was telling the prediction was to decrease the demand in Sri Lanka for the banking opportunities, but see it again even this year, lot of application. I'm talking about not only Sampath Bank as industry. The demand for the industry as a career is increasing. So there are reasons for that as well. Anyway, so the bank industry is a timely topic to discuss for our young undergraduates to see what are the opportunities that they have and what are sort of competencies that you need to have to be in the jobs in banking industry and how you should see the career not as a getting the job or starting the job. There are other way of looking at the banking industry as a career provider. So these are things that we are going to discuss. So in order to be the session very effective, I have developed objectives. So in learning, we define this, before any session. This is the usual way you should define the objectives of the session. So I will tell what are the objectives today. And LO means the learning objectives, equals LO means the outcome. So the session should be, if effective, the learning objectives should be equal to the outcome of the session. So we'll first see what are the objectives. So we are going to talk about the banking as an industry. Little bit information for you to know, perhaps the information that you are not aware, so that you can understand what sort of career industry that you are looking, those who are interested. And then I will a little bit talk about Sampath Bank as well, because that is my employer, and we have provided a lot of working opportunities, career opportunities to the society, and internationally as well. So as an employer, I would talk a little bit about Sampath Bank as well, so that you can understand the bank itself. Then we'll talk about the windows of opportunities. One of our objectives talk about that. What sort of opportunities we have. Like I said, when it comes to the career, my belief is that we have to look it in the wide angle, a very wide angle, not very narrow way of getting a job, putting a job application and just getting into the job is one way of getting in touch with the job that you want to be. But so here I will show you what are the other opportunities that the industry, specifically here today's session, but in general, every industry, the opportunities that you can have for your career. And then the competencies that are required for a bank. The banking is very competitive. So we'll talk about that. What are the competencies that you have to have? Then finally, how you should get this opportunity. I will give you a small model to remember and to practice, so that you will be able to apply when you are applying for a job, so that which is applicable for any industry, so that you can see, because I have seen there are a lot of sessions to come about the interviews and CVs. So to that extent, I'm not going to talk, but very general a perspective I will talk, so that you can plan, prepare, to grab these opportunities in the industry. So finally, you will be in 4 categories. This is what I believe at the end of the session, based on your willingness and ability to be a banker. So you will be either the first category, you will be willing to be a banker, and also you will realize after the session that some of competencies that are required to become a banker is not with you. So you will be in the sector, where the willingness is there, but no, I mean, I'm not telling that no ability, but the competencies might be lacking. So then what I suggest is you to, after session, you can, have your own plan, if you really want to join the banking industry after things that I discussed, you can improve yourself to become a banker. But that is how the most of us, like including myself, have have done. So when we know what are the requirements, you can of course, if there's willingness, you can improve. The second category would be that you will realize after what I said that you are not willing to be a banker, right? Maybe why you have joined here today because you are willing to be a banker, but after things I say, to what you might, you might not be willing to be a banker, right? Also, you will find that you will not have the competencies, or you don't want to have those competencies as well. So then what I suggest is to go and find what you really like. We call finding your ikigai, find your happiness, what you really want. So that is the second category. Third category would be you are willing, yes, and you are able. You will realize after what I discussed, you are willing. Also, you are having the capabilities that we are discussing. So then do not wait, just search what are the job opportunities and apply. How about the rain? Is it disturbing? Am I audible to you?
Yes, sir, you are.
Right. So then the last category would be after the session that you will find that you are not willing, but you will have the capabilities that I discussed. So then what I suggest you to, don't come to conclusion that you're not willing to be a banker. Just give a small try. Maybe start an internship, maybe start a project with a bank and see how things would go. Perhaps you will end in a decision or a conclusion that you want to be a banker. So these are the few categories I would see that would prevail after this session. So based on your category, you can see what you can do after that. Okay. And I believe the university is allowing questions at the end of the session. I usually in my normal sessions allow anyone to ask any question, unmuting, but what university is doing, what they are doing is today how you are allowed to ask question at the end of session, but keep them with you, keep them maybe in writing if you are forgetting. So at the end of the session you can ask. Right. The bank industry, it's a very discussive area these days, not because of the careers, but mainly because of the crisis that we are going through. I believe that you've been undergraduates having an understanding, rather than because how most of people are understanding this crisis as petrol crisis or electricity crisis or food crisis or inflation. Yeah, those are good, but as undergraduate you should be able to deep probe the problem inside and find the real root cause. So when you're going to that level, you will see the impact that the banking industry would have in future, and also how the banks can get together and contribute to have a very stable economy, right? In a nutshell, I would say the banking industry. Anyway, it is the highest, contributor to the Sri Lankan economical and financial system. And there are about 35 banks in the country. There are two categories you would know: licensed commercial banks and specialized banks. Specialized banks means like the banks such as NSB and rural development bank, housing development bank. Those are special banks. So there are 9 banks like that. Blood bank is not a bank. So there are 9 specialized banks like that, and the rest of banks are the commercial banks. So you will find the foreign banks, government banks, private banks, multinationals like HSBC, Standard Chartered, right? And local banks like Sampath, Commercial HNB, right? And then the government banks like POC, People's Bank. So those are licensed commercial banks. Like I said, we are the banking sector is the highest shareholder of the assets of the financial system. Sampath Bank itself contributing over 1 trillion assets. And there are a couple of other banks like BOC, Commercial HNB, who are contributing over 1 trillion assets. And we have over 50,000 employments we have provided the bank industry. And you would know that the banking industry, the banking service was a essential service provided during COVID. Why I say all this? Because then you will get to know the nature of the job that you're going to be. Now, for example, if you are unable to work, whatsoever the reason during a pandemic, so that would not be an excuse in the banking sector. So you had to open some of branches, the central operation had to work, maybe work from home, maybe at the workplace or the nearest branch, whatever the way. But during the essential service, during the COVID even, right? During the COVID, even during the brazen riots, strikes, sometimes the banks had to open. Right? So that's the nature of this industry. And something that you would not know is we have a highly collaboration with universities, right? Not only Sampath Bank, I'm talking about most of the banks. And we are focusing on CSR initiatives, right? It's a large contributor, the banking industry, for many CSR initiatives in the country. The universities, for the society, for the younger generation, for the education, environment. So there are many contributions from the banking industry. So I have picked up the things that you might not know. That is why the other information you can freely find in the internet. And we have over 18 million active customer base, the bank industry. I would say the entire 21 million of the population would be customers, but there are two categories, passive and active. So about 80 million active customer base in the industry. So this is the spotlight for the industry. Right? So for you to understand how that works. Now a little bit of Sampath Bank. I know you. I believe you know this guy. I'm not a cricket fan, but this is one of our products. Even Rangan Herath. There are many cricketers that we have produced, two captains who are contributing to job. I mean, they are not just playing cricket, and some companies they have hired just as ambassadors. But this is not the case for us. These are our team members. Dasun joined as a trainee. Now he's been promoted to a certain level. He worked right while he was playing cricket. So that's the difference of our team and other sport personality. So Sampath Bank is among the top 1,000 banks in the world. So we are proud to introduce like that. So there are only 3 banks from Sri Lanka, right? So we are among top 1,000. And Best Bank, there are many magazines that time to time publish the bank. So there are different criteria for that. Sampath Bank being a best bank for a couple of many years. And the other, awards that we've been received, why I'm talking about the awards, then you know what sort of culture we have, what are things that we value. And so these are the, achievements of the organization. Then you know what sort of things that we value and whether you are also valuing these things. Then, the matching would come. So we are being the most loved, by the customers and employees. The bank in Sri Lanka among the top 10 corporates of the country, right? Not only the banking industry. If we look at the corporates, the top corporates, we are among the top 10. And we are one of the top most admired workplaces. So that is employer perspective, where you would be, wanting to know, because when you apply for a job, so you should know what company, what sort of company that you're going to work for. So here, one thing, the employer perspective, that we are being the most admired workplaces, right? A third largest private sector banking corporation. So we are the third largest based on the assets, profitability, and the size as well. Like I said, over 1 trillion assets we possess. And the specialty of that is we are the youngest to reach that. Other banks who are having over 1 trillion assets are over 50, 60 years old. We are just 34, and we are the youngest and quickest to achieve over 1 trillion. And there are about 4,000 employees, 500 interns, and 300 other opportunities we have provided. So this will continue to be providing, and this is our contribution as a bank to the economy, to the country, to the society, and to the prospective employers like you guys. So I want to show you a little video. Just tell me whether you can. I shared with the sound, but I want to see whether you can hear that. Could you hear sound?
Yes, sir, we can hear it.
Uh, right. Okay. Short series about the life at Sampath and what are the things that we value. We rise by lifting others. So that is one of our themes. Well, that's about the bank. If you have any questions, you can keep them about the bank also to be asked after the session. But anyway, so moving from that, now, the opportunities, the career opportunities that the bank industry is having. Like I said before, I want you guys also to see like me about your career. Now, the career for me did not start at the point that I started the job at Sampath Bank. So the career for me, now if you're looking at the theoretical perspective of career for what I'm going to say, by being very practical and going with the ultimate motive of having a career. For me, it is to be very happy and the happiness to have a contented life. That is the reason that anyone is having a career, right? So there can be other reasons also, but finally, to have a decent income and to have a decent life, a reputation, to make a contribution, which will lead you to be a happy person, happy and contented person. So going with that a definition, not the theoretical career, perspective. I want you guys also to see a career as not the job that you're going to start. Like I said, for me, did not start when I started banking, uh, the job when I was 19. It started, when I was 16, where I helped my father for his business just after my O levels. Right, where that's the place where I think, where I started to think of the future, started to earn something for myself, which made me very happy when I was having the first salary. Even from my father, I was a salaried person, not like the family business that government is doing now. So we had to work, and then then only I got payment. Right. So the career started for me when I was 16. Right now, you can't go back to 16 and start it. But my point is that you have to see career in that perspective. So when it comes to that, so these are the opportunities that you would see. Otherwise, as long as you're confined to one, point of view where you will be looking for a job, apply for a job and start it there, right? So as long as you are there in that line of view, you will not have a very wide angle or a very broader view of the career. So when you change that thinking, you will realize that there are array of opportunities in the any industry, not only from some perspective, right? So let me take a couple of them and explain. One of the career opportunities that you will find is internship. Internship, of course, in legal term, it's not a job, but most of these are, other than the primary level, management level jobs, what I have pointed out here. So most of others are legally not jobs, right? But you have to change your perception, the way you look at things. When you change, why we need to change is that because if we continue to think the same way, you will be the same person that you want to be. There's no point of this workshop also. So the purpose of this workshop series is to change your mindset. So to change, you have to change the thing. If you think the same way as yesterday, so you will be the same person even tomorrow. So after session, that's I want to change your thinking. Now, internship also a career opportunity where you will get the step into the organization, a corporate world. You will learn a lot about that, and most importantly, you will have a connection network. Then you will expose your competencies to the leadership, to the management. The people will see you, right? This opportunity that you would have not maybe having at the university and even at the school. So when you are starting internship, you will expose yourself to a different work environment, and also you will expose your competencies to the world. So internship is a starting point. Most of you guys, I know that you are planning to internship. So it's a career opportunity, I would say, not in theoretical way though. Right? Then the primary level jobs where you as freshers joining the industry. So there are many opportunities which most of you guys are looking forward after the degree to start a job. So those are we call the preliminary level without experience, freshers jobs. Then there can be opportunities for the experienced graduates. Experience, when I say it, not necessarily to be in the banking or the same industry sometimes. And we have given opportunity now, if, for example, Sampak Bank, the bachelor's degree is a requirement for the management level, but we are not specifying what degree you should have. You should not, there's no specific degree, but we're looking for a general bachelor's degree. It can be a science degree, it can be a law degree, it can be engineering degree, it can be management degree, it can be agriculture degree. So when I say the experience, mostly for some positions, of course, you have to have a certain level of experience in the particular field, but experience means life experience that you want to have. Then the professional opportunities means that you might join another organization, the researchers all being done, and through these companies we are hiring the bank industry, hiring them to do certain professional jobs such as researchers, customer service, management analysis, the environmental scanning. Right, so those opportunities would also come to you through another company to work for a bank. So get them and go. Right, if you get a chance to do through a company, maybe other company, to come to a banking corporation and to see the environment or to do a certain level of work, then take that as also a career opportunity in the banking industry. Projects, right? Individual projects. Even we have a program to hire, university lecturers also who are specialized in the academic area, marketing, etc. And we are getting their support, the service, to the bank to do certain changes. So those are the projects that I refer. Sometimes for the undergraduate groups, also we have provided such opportunities where they could come and do some projects with us, and those are also career opportunities. Part-time, fixed term. Usually in Sri Lanka, people would not like to do these part-time. It sounds very inferior for them. But most of us go abroad, and when we are studying there, what we do is these kind of jobs, right? So that's the truth of being in abroad, most of us. So some of good people moving as skill migration, but most of us going as students, majority, more over 75% nowadays. Especially, even I have I have found that most of even bankers moving outside from the country just as students. So what they have to start is a part-time job initially, but with the skill that they have, they eventually would get. But don't be afraid to do part-time jobs in Sri Lanka also. If you can join a call center while studying, get that opportunity and get the experience. You will earn a decent money and you will have wonderful experience there, right? So being a university student, you can do that. Fixed term, people do not like to, but those are opportunities. Do not miss them. Try to get the first opportunity that you are having in whatever the industry, and excel in the area to learn about the industry. Assignments, research, some banks, including Sampath, we have research centers where students can freely come and to do research and go. Not the research for your final project, but the research that the bank is requiring you to do. So we have research centers where the internet facility, all these the softwares like Emerald, Academia is available for free, where you can come and do your research for the organization and go do and then complete and go. So those are the research assignments. You can, if there are opportunities in that, grab them. Right? Do not wait until you get a job. That is my point. And outsource work arrangement. We also have more than 300 outsource personnel with us. Right? More, for example, the secretary functions of Sampath Bank is totally outsourced. These people who are working as outsourced secretaries are getting opportunities later in the bank if they work, because do not hesitate to work as outsourced person, right? So do not feel inferior. Now this is mostly Asian thinking, but when you go abroad, the Europe mainly, so the almost all jobs are equal. You can see, if I don't know, most of you guys are also applying. When you're applying for foreign countries, you will see these the opportunity, the industries, the jobs, the professions are mostly the same. There's no difference. You are a bank, you are a doctor, no, nothing like that. So these are the opportunities that you would see in the banking sector. Do not confine to a job. So that is one opportunity, right? So when you're having a different point of view, when your thinking is expanded, vibrant, and also very broad, you will find a lot of opportunities in the industry. Now about the candidates, this is, I would say, mostly common for the corporate sector, but these are the specific requirement that a banker should have. Now this is the time for you to see whether you guys are having this competency, whether firstly see whether you have that, right? If you don't, see whether you are willing to have these competencies for yourself, because these are not only for the mainly banking but for any industry would helpful. So see whether, for example, say that you are not a global thinking guy, but the same time think whether you want to be that kind of a person. So then that is also enough, right? So what I'm going to share here is the competencies mainly. So there are many other competencies. These are the main things. Now, when you are into these areas, you will be, qualifying to mainly to most of the jobs in the country, even outside the country. So these are the competencies I will explain. Taking a couple of them, of course, all of them, and then you will understand whether you are having that first. If not, whether you are willing to have that. Oh, maybe you can, don't confine right now, you are very young, right? Maybe you would say, okay, I never would be a person like this. Don't come to that confinement right now. But maybe you can be thinking, okay, whether I want to be a bank after, having all these troubles, right? But that's your decision, that's your call. But let me explain the talent, what sort of talent that we are looking at. Okay, the global means a person, a candidate that we are looking that we want. What sort of candidates we want, and one is a global one. Global means your thinking. And before you global, you should be local also. Right? So global is a second step actually. So you have to be a very. We all are Sri Lankans. We most of, I believe, all of us are here, born in Sri Lanka. Coming from different backgrounds. I come from a rural area, then also, had to struggle a lot to come to this level. So in that journey, first you will learn the local environment. Now you are like 21, 22, 23 years old. You are in a graduate, undergraduate level. You have come the journey to learn your local environment. So that's enough now. If you have not learned, that is your loss, right? then at least start from now to firstly study the local environment. Go to the places that you can visit within the country first, right? Understand what is this crisis is. Do a small pestle study for yourself and for the country and see what is the situation, right? And do a SWOT analysis. Those are small tools that you can use in management to understand your situation. So this global and the local understanding is first most important. Now, what I'm talking, the second step, going beyond that. That's a third step also, which I'm not going to talk. The global thinking is you are going above the boundaries of the country. So you are now, after excelling the country's situation, country's knowledge, you are moving outside and see how things been changed in the world. Right? You should know what is happening in USA, what is happening in UK, Australia after the election. In the history, they have done a remarkable change. So how that would be impactful to us, and maybe for us as employees in future. Maybe if you are planning to go to Australia, there's a election has happened. So how things would affect to us. So that global thinking, and not only that, what sort of competencies that global undergraduates are having. Are they same as us? So this thinking should be there. When we are hiring, we are looking at a person like that who is having a global thinking, right? Who is very local, in cultural, and also having a global thought, right? So that sort of candidate. Now think in that journey, becoming a global candidate where you are. Try to understand your position. Secondly, the future ready. So we are currently, living in the coming. We know. I asked from my small one also. Time I ask, do you know what the problem that we are in? He says yes. And what then I asked what? A petrol crisis. So he knows that. He's 11 years old, right? So petrol crisis is, those are the symptoms of the real crisis. In my analysis, this will lead to a humanitarian crisis very soon. 2 months, 3 months of time. So that's the danger or the fearness of this current situation. Now, the future ready means you are ready for that stage. You know what would happen. You can predict what would happen to the banking market. Now you are learning to become a banker, say for example, but after 3-4 months there would not be jobs. So then what is your plan? So that thinking is secondly what we are looking at. Your future, right? There are things that you can't predict. For example, like Corona, right? We did not know. Even when I was young, the tsunami was very new term to me. We didn't know a tsunami would come, right? Until I saw in the television, and after a couple of days, I wanted badly to go and visit those places. It was like a hell. I don't know whether you guys know, right? So it's like a graveyard. I went to the southern areas. It was a fun trip for me, but after visiting there, I realized how pathetic the situation was. Had no any idea what tsunami was. Right then, we've been through the war. At a couple of many times I was during the wartime. I was in Anuradhapur. Then I was traveling to Colombo. So there are many occasions I silently got down from the bus because why? You usually fall asleep when you're traveling long distance, because those days to travel to Anuradhapur took like 7 hours. Then suddenly when I woke up and I saw, when I wake up, I see, some baggages are left without people. So that scared me. So I can't do anything because I can't call the police and tell there's a bomb. But what I did was silent, because, those can be false also. So just silently got done. No bus blew up, but that was, the fear that we went through. Then, after all this, the Corona came, and now there's a huge crisis. So this readiness for future is important. Now, future, it doesn't mean that you always have a very fabulous future. The future can be bad also. Right? So if you are between 20 and 35, you are in a very difficult situation right now. Right? Your future plans would be, you might not have an idea what would happen to you. Maybe you're having an idea to complete the degree, start a job, having a good marriage life, buy a vehicle, build a house. All these, I don't know where those would go, right? So this mindset but the future has to be changed. Right? Not only having a very fabulous visionary vision, it should be there. A very fabulous thought of, a sort of understanding, but the realistic understanding of the future should be. When we are hiring people, we are looking at people like that. Whether you have an idea of the future. That's the second. Third, experience. Experience doesn't mean, like I said, the banking experience or the industry experience. Like I said, if you have worked for your father, mother, or a brother, or anyone, right? Whether you have worked in any place, a call center, customer care center, even you have started your own business after O level or A level after graduation, right? That experience is what we are looking at, not only the banking, especially from the fresh graduate. Now I happen to come because a lot of undergraduates who are doing, some of business to find their living, the by funding their university life. I recently met a guy from Sabaragamu. So he's from Panadura. He's Sabaragamu University area is very famous for gum minis, paper. And by the bus, he's taking these gum minis to hometown. Then he's doing a small business. He's having a decent income. Right, gum minis is a very wonderful export also, but he's doing a local level. Right? So that experience would be counted when you are applying for a job. So we want to see whether you guys are experienced in that sense, not only the banking. So you don't need to do work for good companies, top companies to get that experience, right? Just start your own thing. Maybe you through Instagram sell something. That's fine. Help your father, right? Help your uncle, aunt, whoever, right? So they are business. Don't think of the salary. Just go and get the experience. So that is what we are calling experience. Qualified, of course. Once you get the degree, you are top qualified. I do not have a bachelor's degree. So you guys are there. The qualification will not stop there, right? Will not stop there, but try to do something parallel if possible, because most of candidates are now having academic and professional qualification, right? So try to do something professional qualification also while you're doing the degree, but that is not working for me. I'm not that sort of a guy. I can't do two courses. Forget about two, because I can't do two things together anyway, right? So can't be qualified parallelly. But if you are capable, if you're not doing, if you are either select anything and maybe to do a part-time job or to do something else. The sleeping time would be very less for us, for you. You can't sleep like those if you are very healthy. You can't sleep, many hours like you used to. Maybe 6 hours the maximum. Right? The rest of 18 hours to do, to work, to be occupied, right? Okay. Then a personality grooming. Now, personally, don't misunderstand, not the beauty, right? Then plastic surgical surgery. Personality means, for example, when you as soon as you smile from your heart, that gives 100%, 200% amplification for your personality. One example, right? As soon as you think of the others, you are respecting others. The second part, the virtues, which I'm going to talk. When the virtues are displaying from you, improve your personality, right? The grooming is, of course, the way you dress. That is to understand. Grooming is also a workshop that we can do, but not share. It's how you present yourself to others, right? So that is also important. So the personality, right? You can have your own personalities, but see what is looking for each industry. Some personalities are not matching for the industry. And for example, the banking, we want people who are ready to go to customer, very humble, even though they scold you. You have to be very down to earth and understand it, listen well, right? Custom oriented, helping us. So that sort of personality the banking industry wants. But some introvert personality would fit in some other industries as well. So you select what you want. If you want to be banking, if you are a different personal person, change. If not, find, like I said, the ikigai that you want to find. Grooming, very important, right? Even Sunday morning, now I dress like I'm having an interview every day. I'm going to change my work area from talent acquisition to talent management, probably in a couple of months. So I will not be able to do interviews. I mean, as I would be doing. But again, still I'm going to wear every day as I'm having interview. I'm not having interviews every day, but I'm wearing like that. Right? So that is the grooming. Okay. The virtues. Virtues are different from values. Now, values, most of us have virtues means uncompromised values. For example, if you are loyal, if loyalty is your value, right? If you have not compromised in any occasion, I have not stolen anything from anyone since the day as I remember. So that is one value I have not compromised. So that is my virtue. So the industries are looking more towards the virtues, right? So I'm usually not lying, but occasionally I have lied. So I can't say, not lying is not a sort of value. I mean, it's not a virtue. It's a value. Time to time, I'm not lying for bad things. But when you, especially when I have a kid, you have to lie, right? So then those are not my good part of it. But there are certain, like for example, like I said, not have stolen. I can upfront tell. Those are virtues. Now look at what are your virtues, right? And we are looking at the virtues mostly. And go-getters, this energy, these the straight away go-getters mean you are going and get anyway, no excuse, you are getting things done. So that attitude, that mental stage, that perception, that minds, that thinking pattern is important. Right now, I have asked all my team to think that okay, maybe you don't want to, but you think as you are leaving this job, you are leaving this country and you are going abroad. I have asked my guys to think like that. The behavior is changing. But that change the mindset. You are like, go anyhow. Okay, now I am planning to go abroad, so I have to complete this work anyhow before we go. So go-getter mindset is important. So we are certain things. One very important thing that we're looking at from a campaign. Healthy. Now, this is something when we are talking all these, the soft skills, all these competencies. One very good thing we forget. Now I remember even the last. Now in the recruitment, we are recruiting mostly the young guys, 19 years old, the fresh graduates like you, school leavers. They are having a lot of chronic illnesses. Chronic cholesterol, blood pressure. Even I don't have at my stage, right? So you forget the very important part of your life, and you forget why you are wanting a career. You die, no point of the career, no. When we are hiring, we are looking at people who are health conscious, right? That doesn't mean that you want to go to a gym, do yoga, not only that, but your food pattern, your lifestyle, right? Whether you do exercise, whether you have a mentality to be healthy, right? So the bank industry, we are getting a lot of, benefit. Your liquor, it's a very common, alcohol consumption is a common thing. But how you do that? Occasionally, so those are very important, right? Because alcohol affect your health. I'm also consuming alcohol. Smoking, right? What happened now? The country is going towards, like I said, the humanitarian crisis. So that is the next stage of this crisis, right? Where the medicine are not. It's already happening, right? Medicine not available. Now there was a guy in the bank who had a heart attack. Now the hospital is not having the facility to do a bypass operation. The reason was the nicotine, cigarette, right? So there's a clot. So what the hospital could do, because through contacts only that also could happen. So did what stem me up there. Right? And my sister is a doctor. She called me and said, "Aya, sarpek tigana kawa ganna pa behet nahi Lanka." Right? So be careful. Now you are very young. You are very energetic. Even when you are walking, don't even go for a fight these days, right? You would you would die bleeding. So health is not that part I'm telling. But your health. Look at that. We tend to forget that when we are working, when we engage in other work, studying. Health is important. So we are looking for people who are health conscious. I'm not aware of the other industry, but Sampath Bank very much key. Right. Then the last 2 points are very important: creative and mentally agile. Right. So creativity is something that we are looking at most of organizations. Now, creativity is out of box thinking. To be creative, what are things that you should have? Right. You should first know. I mean, creative in a piece I found a device. When you fix that to the wall, you can see other side from the wall. They call it to be creative, first you should know what is happening. So find, read, get experience, accumulate the knowledge before you be creative. Then your very specific value would come. Okay. Challenging the status quo. You know what is happening around. Now you know there's a device called Janela. Now you challenge it and see how differently you can do something. So creativity is not overnight happening. When you are sleeping, when you are waking up, it will not come to your head. Like for Archimedes or someone else, some inventors. I'm not asking you to be inventors, right? Not invention, but creativity is small things, change, right? So creativity is something that we are looking at. So we are giving a lot of case studies, cases for candidates to see whether they are creative. The final part is the agility, so mainly the mental agility. Now, I would say one story about myself. Like I said, I'm not a graduate. Okay? I joined when I was 19. And at that time, there was a norm in the bank industry. You don't need to have a qualification. Just perform well, you get the promotion, you get the bonus, you get the salary, and it worked. It worked. Right? I got my promotion. But until the age of 26, I did not have any qualification. Did not have. Just only A level. But at one point, I realized through a lot of other influences, I've been in, being experienced and, looking at others, other industries, and also people around me also push me. Then I realized that, no, it's not the way. You have to have sort of paper qualification, right? So as a startup, I did a small certificate course, and now I'm having different qualifications within a shorter period of time. The qualification you need for that is to have a fabrication, like your theme also, for the future and for your profile. But for me, it's important to see what you are doing in practice is. When you have this theoretical knowledge of the things that you practically do, it's very convinced for yourself. For example, say that you are starting to introduce a performance management model, you are going to the theory and you find, okay, Michael Armstrong have found this model, performance management model of planning, all this. Then when you do that in practice, okay, this is something backed by theory. People have studied, researched about it. So when you know that, it's very helpful for you to be confident and work well. So theory for the practice also important. I'm a believer of some people say practical experience is important. No, both you need to have a balance of them, right? A balance of them. So the agility is now I realized at the age of 26 that I need to do a qualification. I ended up with 2 masters and a professional qualification, a couple of diplomas and certifications also. And so that agility is important. Now, for example, on the example, at a point, if you realize English is important, start from that point. Maybe you're not still thinking. I'm taking one example. It's a common, a problem that we see in candidates, the language. Forget about the, the language ability. Now, when they come for interview, they do not even know English is important. Even last week, the interview I happened to go through, people asking whether can I speak in Sinhala. That's okay, we allow. But that means that they have not understood the importance of that language, English. English is not language, right? It's very easy to learn, not like Sinhala. Agility means you realize that and you are able, you are flexible to learn that. So for example, maybe at 35, 36, you will realize, okay, banking is not say that you're in the banking industry after 20 years of career, you might realize, okay, banking is not what I want. You should be agile to move that from banking to whatever the career that we want. I was in the business for 9 years. So then only I came to HR. Right? So agility, the mental, mainly the barriers with your mentality, not the physical. Right? So physical agility is not. Mental agility is important. So these are also we are testing in our candidate. Right. So I believe we have time because we started after 9. Okay. So that's the candidate that we want. And finally, how you get a job. So like I said, that's a small model that I want to tell. Now, even though these 4 Ps are very small, there are a lot of work that you have to do to get a job. That is this, myth coming, there are no jobs in the industry. And if you ask from a corporate person, he would say no candidates in the industry. So there's a bridge always. The workshops like this will help to match the bridge. So sorry, match these gaps. Right? So if you ask from a corporate person, he would say there are no good people. If you ask from a candidate, he or she would say there are no good jobs. So there's a gap, no? So this will help you to bridge those gaps. Not easy to get a job, right? Doing this will not give you a job also, but this is a model, a small thing that you can do when you are studying, right, to get a good job. Number 1, the perceive. First P is perceive. Perceive has a lot of meaning. Now it's like something that you're researching, you're finding. Now what you have to find, firstly about yourself. Like I said, find whether you are a person with these qualities or whether you are not a person like that. Find about yourself. Secondly, find about the jobs. Okay, what sort of job that are there to match my competencies, my profile, my desires, my happiness. So that is important, right? So there's no point of doing a job being someone else. So be yourself and do a job. That is what important. To do that, find about the job. Okay, say that there's advertisement. Before you apply, just search about it and find. I mean, you will find a lot of ways. You can talk to some of people inside. You can go to, say it's a banking industry job, go to a branch and see how people are working. Go to their website and see what are things that they value, right? Try to get internship and first-hand experience. What sort of job is that? So perceive, find more information, research. Now you are doing research, do your research for the job, right? Number 2, picture. Picture means you visualize. This is a good mental exercise also, right? You visualize your position in the position that you are dreaming in future. You visualize your position in an interview. Visualize, right? You go mentally sit and face the interview. You go and do the assessment center exercise. You go and face the final interview. You go and do the exams mentally, right? You visualize yourself. If it is banking, in the banking seat, you can visualize. If you go to a branch, you can visualize your work environment. You're walking as a customer, but as long as you see the face of our people, you realize what sort of job. No, they are doing wonderful job. They are pretending you. Right? So try to get this understanding of the working environment and picture. That is also important. After having the information, you visualize. Importantly, the practice. Practice English. I mean, I'm not telling you to practice a story for the interview. It has to be, most of us are used. I don't know. There are many ways of having interviews. For example, structured, unstructured, semi-structured. In a structured interview, the questions would be same, but most of companies are having unstructured. There's no proper first question. Maybe tell about yourself would be the first question, but after that, no proper structure. So you can't practice for such interview. So what I ask you to practice is try to understand what you are lacking, maybe you're grooving, right? So all this preparation is important. You can't just go for an interview, you can't just go for a work. So after you having information, visualizing, prepare and practice yourself. first hurdle would be the interview, right? Then finally, you have to perform. Now, in Sampath Bank, we have provided international internships. There are a couple of foreign students who are working with us. So there's a guy with me from France. His name is Daoud. He's a French guy. So then he said that I asked him to do a small presentation. He's 19 years old. I asked him to do a small presentation to new interns. So during the practice session, he did well, very well, right? So, but the first time he does, he got stuck, really stuck. I remembered myself when I was 19. I really stuck in front of people. I never thought that he would be, because he's having international experience, and he's a sort of undergraduate, but he's a very young person. He's stuck, so I happened to step in and help him. So performing is important. So how much you practice? If you get stuck when you're performing, that is also important. So you practice. I mean, I'm not telling, don't get this word misunderstood. Not practice for the interview. I'm not telling that. You can't practice for interview. There is no way that you can practice and get a job, right? You might see there are classes to make you practice, but those are not working. Now, what I say, what you have throughout to perform at the interview, at the job, everywhere. So then only you can secure a good job. So it's not an easy journey, right? I'm sure that there will be a lot of other sessions on CV and interviews, so get maximum from them. And whatever you are discussing, your facilitators are telling in those sessions, write down, note down, and practice and prepare. The performance is real life performance at the interview, then to get the to get the job. Right. So that's mostly about what I want to tell. So summing up, we talked about the bank industry, what sort of industry, if you want to be in the banking, that you will be having. Then talk a little bit about Sampath Bank, and then we talk what sort of opportunity. There is a point where I want you to be very open. Right? Do not, again, I'm telling again, do not confine to one area of having a job. So see what are the other opportunity industries offering, as I discussed, and take the first chance and grab it and go for it. So eventually you will go to the stage that you want. Then we talk. Yeah. Then any question? Anyone ask anything? So then we talked about the competencies, opportunities, then the competencies. Right, so these are not every and each competency that you want to have, right? So we can have a detailed session later. So the very important ones that you want to have to be in the industry. Then finally, how to get the job. Remember the 4 steps: to perceive, find information about jobs and the ways that you can apply, and understand yourself, understand the company, the culture. Then visualize yourself being in this position, being in interviews. Then practice for the interviews, the exams, and then finally perform and get the job. So those are the 4-step things that we discussed. So I can open the forum for questions.
Sir, we will be having a Q&A session.
Okay, so I can see the chat box. Shall I open that and answer the questions?
Yes, sir, we can do that as well.
Okay. So Charuka is asking, how will be job market to graduate with this current economic system? Very good question, Charuka. Am I right? Yes. Now, your question is a general question. How will be job market, not specifically banking, with this current economic crisis? So I would say, I mean, I can give you, I will tell the answer. And also, I want you to do your own research. First, do not go with the surface of the crisis. Like I said, the surface would be, like my small one is telling, the petrol, the power, the gas. So those are the symptoms, the surface of the crisis. So try to find information, listen to the economist, and there are daily reviews in global economics about the country's situation, you will realize what is the root cause. So do your research for that as well. Now then you will realize what is the job market. Now job market is a broader thing that you ask. I would say there would be opportunities, right? What sort of opportunities? If you ask people who are thinking out of box, people who want to start new businesses, who can identify the frustration of people and deliver it from the local suppliers. Now if you try to be a global import and do certain things, it will not work because there are importation restrictions. So if you can find something local, right, and if you can find the frustration of the people, the need of the people, and give a solution, that would be the job market, right? Now, for example, there's a guy I know who's doing a business now, which is a very wonderful industry. He started that as a small business, but it's now industry. We call revenue cycle management. What they do basically, they are American-based companies. They get the American insurance companies, doctors, and client together, doing the documentation in Sri Lanka and earning money. It's a wonderful business now. Started 15 years ago, wonderful business. So that's for that sort of people who are thinking different will be a job market. And if you are generally asking the banking industry jobs, yes, most of companies would go for a consolidation, would not have much of focus on recruitment. They would more think of keeping the existing people happy and getting the work done through employee optimization. So that would be a strategy for most of companies, I would say. So in that strategy, the job market would be limited also. But for certain areas like IT and the services, there would be opportunities. But if you specifically want to know about industry, I can answer. I hope I answered, Charuka. As a Sri Lankan undergraduate, can I know how to have a successful trade finance career at an international bank? Good question. Right. Okay. So as an undergraduate, can I know how to have a successful trade finance? Okay. Trade financing is an emerging area, right? And again, I would say in trade finance, the importation in Sri Lankan context being held. Even last week, there were about 8 circulars issued by the exchange controller, having a lot of also relaxation and also, controls of importation. To study now, career, I'm not sure who asking the question is Tishani. Tishani, I do not know whether what sort of degree that you are doing, right? If it is related to trade finance, you will learn about the theoretical aspects. And when the banks are hiring, even as far as I know, the local banks. Now you are talking about international bank. First, let me know tell about the local bank. They are not confining or recruiting mostly to the trade finance as novice, as freshers. So they just hire and give a general opportunity. Perhaps eventually you can move into trade. Now, if you're looking for a specific trade finance career, to my knowledge, I mean, a search of jobs, because that is my job. I every day log into the job banks and see what sort of opportunities are there for the open up in the banks and other areas. I have not seen such a opportunity very recent, especially for trade finance. Now, what my advice would be for you, since you are young and you have, if you have find the trade finance as your ikigai. Ikigai means your confined area of happiness of your life, is a Japanese word. That's a theory you can search later. So if you find your trade finance what you really want, my advice would be to start from any bank. Even the trade finance is mostly in the banking sector, so you start anywhere you can. Do not confine to trade finance, right? Then show your talents to the management, and definitely you get an internal chance. Now, if I take Sampath Bank, last many years we have not advertised to recruit any person for trade finance mission, right? So it's and that is the common understanding for me. Recently also have not seen. So do not Trishani, stay until you get such a career, right? International bank environment is very good. I have seen a lot of opening HSBC. I'm taking the names because for you to help, for helpful. And now, if you are a user of LinkedIn, you will get a lot of job alerts. That is one thing I think In the sessions to come, they will talk about the LinkedIn. I'm not going to talk, but I ask everyone to have a LinkedIn account and put your desires in the LinkedIn. So that will be the future CV. The CV will be replaced from that. So when you are subscribed to that and when you open up your interest to trade finance, you will get a lot of opportunities for fresh graduates, right? And Tihani, as a tip, there would be opportunities outside. So one thing that you can think of is, I'm not sure whether you're financially stable for you. Just try to do the trade finance qualification. I'm not sure also in Sri Lanka whether you have a specific trade finance degree. I have not seen, right? But there are globally many areas. You know, if you can find a degree outside, if you can go there and study, of course, those countries will offer you international experience in international banks to work in the trade finance area. Look at HSBC, but I have not seen trade finance. But first opportunity that you get in an international bank, get it as a fresher. I hope my answer helped you. Okay. If not, you can again ask her. Name it. Are there any exams for getting higher positions in banking sector? Okay. The nutshell answer is yes, right? But I think you are looking for academic perspective when you mention exam. But to get the now in Sampath Bank itself, even there are internal exams for you to get higher position. We call promotion or job tests, job exams. I'm not sure whether you are referring that. I don't think so. You are referring to those exams. Now, if you are asking for any qualification, right? Now, if you are banking sector, if it is local, right? I would say the do IBSL, but that doesn't guarantee anything, right? In the corporate sector, higher positions always require set of specific skills. So the important part of higher position is a experience. Now, if your question is as a fresher to apply for higher positions, that I would doubt, because higher positions need specific trade experience. Trade in the area, say for example, economics. These days we are having opportunity. Now for be economics in Sampath Bank is a higher position. You have to have economics experience, work experience, practical experience. If that is what you are meaning. So there is no such, I mean, to become economist, there is a qualification. Right? You have to have a degree, and there are some other professional qualifications also. But if you are referring to yourself, maybe if you are an undergraduate, you should more focus on, having the primary level examination. Now, I would suggest, since you are having an academic qualification, your graduation, your degree, I would ask you to do, a professional qualification. There are many, can be related to finance or banking. But if you are trying to move out from the country, for example, IBSL will not be recognized. So those are, it's very, very personalized question you ask. You have to think with your desires. I hope that I answered him. If not, again ask, you can. No? I need to know what are the steps that we are follow for joining private bank. Good. Have like government exams, okay. And also I want to do banking course. If we think to do a job after years in other countries, just answers that question. I don't say it's not well enough. For example, just go to, for example, okay, take Canada. Canada having a skill migration program, and when we're applying in the banking sector, what they are looking for is Canadian experience and Canadian competency assessment, which does not cover IBSL. Right now, I'm not talking about a very specific area, but IBSL is the only qualification that you can show in your CV, even when you're applying outside. The other option would be doing an international banking or UK qualification. UK qualification is very, very expensive. I do not recommend you do that, right? So IBSL, if you are doing, continue, complete it, because it's a degree level qualification, right? So when they are asking for a degree level qualification, that is very much valid, right? But if you are asking IBSL practically, I do not have any idea that countries like that, because now, for example, even HR, the local qualification what we are having is, CIPM, PQHR qualification is the highest qualification. So then now they have made arrangement with CIPD, Chartered Institute of Personal Development, which is a UK body, When you're having CQHRM, it is affiliated to CIP. So that is important when you apply. So IBSA also, I don't know, you have to check with IBSA whether they have such a affiliation. If there is, if they affiliated to a global body, yes, it is very much important. But some countries, so you can't confine like that. So if you're planning to move out, you have to see what the world demands first. But if you're in Sri Lanka, if you want to do a banking job, IBSL is wonderful, right? That doesn't mean that you're getting a job because you are having IBSL. That there's a process. Now you ask that question also. Now generally the primary level in Sampath Bank, I would explain there are 4 stages. There are 2 exams. This is common for most of even commercial and other banks also. There's a job test. Job test means not the products, but about your English, about your logical reason. There's a test. So that's the first level. And there would be primary interviews. The first level is discussion, small interview. Then the second level would be, a group session, assessment center methodologies or case studies or behavior assessment. The final stage would be the final interview, and there are screening process that you have to go through, right? So those are the steps that you have to be aware of. Follow if you ask. You have to, like I said, be open, be understand about yourself, and you should be able to communicate all this in English mostly in the banking sector. And so other than that, there is no exam that guarantee a job in the banking sector. It's everything always about how you have been successful through the internal recruitment process, right? Having IBSL, again, I'm telling, will be helpful. Not only IBSL, have your degree, maybe FANCIMA, all additional qualification will helpful. But what guarantees having a job is how you are successful through the internal selection process, which contains the steps that I said. So I believe I answered the question. Your name is not there, that's okay. Then will it be useful if completed bank exam IBSL to get a job in banking? Yes, it will be helpful, right? But no, even your degree, I mean, a master's, your PhD, whatever, does not guarantee a job anywhere. But helpful, you use the word helpful, yes. Useful, yes. If you do banking, helpful. If you do anything to acquire any paper qualification, that will be definitely helpful, right? Is that all the question? Yes, I think. If I did not answer any of your question, you can ask it again. I can explain. You can unmute and ask. That's okay. Did I miss question? If I did not answer your questions, you can unmute and ask again. That's okay. I can explain again. So any other question you want to ask?
Sir, actually, we had a great session with you, and we learned a lot of valuable insights about banking sector. We are truly grateful for the time and effort you took to share your knowledge and experiences with us. So thank you very much, sir.
Okay, Sandhuri, thank you for that. And I believe it was helpful for everyone. And so if there's anything, I'm always contactable through your career guidance unit. You can talk to me. 1 hour is not enough. This is a very this has to be very detailed, lengthy session. So we will be meeting if it is required throughout your journey, and so we can get things clarified. So thank you for having me also in a Sunday morning. Very difficult to get up and ready by 9 for a session. Thank you for that as well.
Teluka, Chatu here.
Yeah, Mr. Chatu.
Yeah, so then actually I also take this opportunity to give our special thank on behalf of the career guidance unit and the university, and actually to have insight about banking industry and the actually especially I want to thank you because you are the person who gave that idea to me. So then, however, then I instruct my students, the Career Skills Development Society students, to plan the the phase 2 of fabricating Futurity workshop series, especially introducing different sectors. And again, Mr. Penko, thank you so much coming and sharing your valuable insight and opening this Fabricating Futurity workshop Phase 2 series. So thank you again and good luck for your career.
Thank you, Ms. Chatur, for the opportunity, and I would really encourage the university also. We will be always there to help you out because it's a very needy requirement of the country and for the undergraduates, because this is the place that we can develop them before stepping into the corporate world. We are more than happy to help you, and if there's anything, let us always know. And thank you very much, Ms. Chatur, also, and all the participants. Thank you, guys. Have a wonderful day. Good luck.
Thank you very much, sir, for sharing our valuable insights and giving professional guidance. We are sure that those will indeed lead us to a better competency level. I would like to take this moment to inform all the participants that we will be sharing a feedback forum in the chat box, so you can share your thoughts and feedback with us. Well then, I think we do not have further questions from our audience. And by the looks of it, we have eventually come to the end of the session. So I deem it a great honor to propose the vote of thanks. First and foremost, I would like to thank our resource person today, Mr. Thenukuthu. Thank you very much, dear sir, for spending your immensely valuable time to be here with us today and sharing your broader knowledge with us. Your in-depth knowledge and indispensable expertise and experience altogether are indeed a perception to us. Thank you, sir.
And also, I would like to see the feedback also, if you can share with me for my improvement. So what the participant have to say, if you can share with me, that will be very grateful.
Yes, sir. We will share it with you.
Thank you, Sasini. Good luck.
Yes, sir.
All the best.
And my heartfelt thanks goes to Mrs. Chaturangani Ternakon, Career Advisor of the Career Guidance Unit and Senior Treasurer of the Career Skills Development Society, for extending your helping hand at all moments of need. Also, I express my deep sense of gratitude to Professor Sudat Manjulambarasena, the Director of the Career Guidance Unit and the Head of the Department of Decision Sciences, for the guidance, encouragement, and support that he has given us, making our effort a success. Also, I thank all the members of the organizing committee for all the support in making this event a success. And last but not least, I would like to thank our amazing audience, our loving members, for joining us to make this event a success. Thank you very much for your cooperation. Finally, with that, we shall mark the end of our session. Thank you and wishing you all a very nice day.